Good afternoon and welcome. We've got a great webinar planned for you today. We have a nice part series I'll explain to you. If everyone could go ahead and mute your line. There's a nice chat box in the bottom right you can use. I'll keep an eye on it here. If you got some questions as we go, please just post in the chat box there. But again, if everyone could just mute their line, just make sure we don't have any background listeners. So see some familiar names and faces out there. Hope everyone's doing great today. We've got a lot of great stuff on this topic to double your GDC and do it in 3 years or less with half the clients. So it's a feat we've seen advisors do many times, and we're going to show you today how we see advisors doing it and how you can get the same results in your practice. So, so just a little bit of background. The firm, I have Dynamic Directions. I work with a partner, Travis Cheney, and we work with about 125 advisors around the country. The average GDC of those advisors is about $1.5 million. And we work with all types. We have a lot of CAC advisors. We have a lot of Barron's top-rated advisors, a lot of PWA. So, so I say that because there's a lot of great best practices that we're going to be pulling from that we're going to share for you in this webinar series here. Everyone's really growth-oriented, so if you're looking to grow your practice, you come to the right place here. A lot of the learning from the advisor we work with is exactly what we're going to pass along. So I'll be your host. My name is John Randall, Certified Master Coach. I've been with the Ameriprise for 18 years as an advisor. I spend most of my time as a franchise consultant, so I do coaching and consulting. I got my Certified Master Coach designation, gosh, I think about 9 years ago, maybe it's been now. My partner, Travis Cheney, business partner, he's been with the Ameriprise for over 20 years. We've both been named Franchise Consultant of the Year. And again, I just share these things because there's lots of great best practices in this group that we want to share to you. These things actually are working. Travis and I are both at the top of Ameriprise as far as advisor growth, as far as GDC growth year over year, financial planning growth, all the metrics they track as franchise consultants on, we're at the top. So what we're talking about is working for others, and it can certainly work for you. And a lot of people ask us, you know, they say, Travis, John, you know, how come your advisors are growing faster than any advisors in Ameriprise? And in this alignment triangle here, to me, is one of those big reasons. So when I went through the Certified Master Coach program, it's kind of like the CFP program for a financial planner. But it helped me just understand how important the things going on in our head are to get results. You know, for about 15 years, I've been doing some consulting with other advisors. And to me, consulting is just showing others best practices. So I spent a lot of time showing people best practices over the years. I showed them, you know, what I thought was working, what I saw other advisors doing, what I was doing myself that was working, and I'd share it with others. And what I found was that advisors were getting limited to no results. And I couldn't figure out why, because it was good information. It was things that I borrowed from the best as things that I was doing that was working, but for some reason, others weren't getting the results. And it all had to do with up here. It had to do with the mindset issue. And the biggest thing I learned in this program, the Certified Master Coach, that to get the results, it's not just the behaviors, it's not just the tactics. It's also the beliefs, the things in our head. Now, I'll give you a perfect example. If you're looking to increase your financial planning fees, but you have a deep-rooted belief that, gosh, if someone pays you a lot in an asset management fee, that you can't charge a lot for financial planning, you know, that's a self-limiting belief. And if that is your belief, it will be an anchor for you, and you'll never have the behavior of asking for a higher financial planning fee, and you'll never get those results. So to have different results and different behaviors, you really have to have a mindset shift or a shift in our beliefs. And all of us have self-limiting beliefs. So as we go through today's program, just think about what are your self-limiting beliefs, because those are really the biggest things that will lead to change. Those are the biggest things that will help you make that leap and get different results. And really advisors that double their business in less than 3 years, they really do it by thinking differently and doing things differently. So for a lot of us, what got us here to this point is what got us here, but it may be something different that gets you to the next point. It's typically something different that will get you to the double where you're at today. You're going to have different sets of problems. It's definitely different thinking to be double where you're at today. So just be aware of your self-limiting beliefs, and we'll talk about some of these beliefs as we go here. But, you know, when it comes to growth in general, there's two simple ways to grow any business. And, I mean, this is very applicable to anything. If you do more with existing customers and you bring in new customers, those are the two ways to grow. It's the same for a restaurant. It's the same for a hotel. It's the same for a plumber. It's the same for a franchise owner, financial advisor. If you could do more with your existing clients and you can attract new clients, those are the two ways to grow. So between today's webinar and the webinar we have next month, we're going to dive deep into each of those. Today we're going to talk a little bit more about doing more with your existing clients, which I think really does set up attracting new clients, which we'll dive into quite a bit next time. So I'm sure everyone out there is feeling price compression. Almost every advisor I talk to, whether I work with them or not, or whether I talk to them at a Ameriprise conference, almost every advisor is feeling the price compression. And even our best, even the CAC advisors I work with, they're hearing it from their clients. Clients are asking about fees. Some advisors have even lost clients. Within Ameriprise, it certainly got their attention. For the first time ever, we have, as a firm, lost more clients than we're gaining. And so it's really got the firm's attention, and they're trying to examine why people are leaving. But to me, this price compression, I think, is a conundrum for a lot of advisors. And it's really important to remember that whenever we're talking about price, we're really talking about value. So if a client or a prospect is ever challenging you on price, what they're really challenging you on is the value. You know, if someone's asking about their fees, they're really asking about the value. So price equals value, and you think about those on a scale. If the value outweighs the price, clients will never have an issue. Clients will pay, and until that fee gets high enough that they question it, that means that your value you're providing is enough. If people are asking about fees, it probably means that the value, they're either not interpreting it, they don't realize it, or they're not feeling it. They don't feel that the value is enough to justify the price. So this is a very important business concept, and it is crucial in our industry because you're really selling you and your services for asset management, for financial planning, and you've got to be able to help people interpret your value. And sometimes existing clients will forget your value, and it's important to remind them. You know, I always make the analogy. I published a book, which I'll talk about in the next webinar series. It's more about attracting clients, getting better clients. But I make a analogy in that book to a new vehicle. Think about your latest vehicle that you're driving. And when we tend to buy our vehicles, we tend to be excited about it. Maybe for a couple of weeks at last, we maybe buy it because it's a certain brand, or the vehicle has certain features, or with a certain color. You know, we all have reasons that we buy our vehicle, and it's exciting at first when we get it, but we all become numb to the experience of driving our vehicle. We get in, it takes us wherever we're going, we get out, we do our thing, and we go back. And we don't think about all of the value items, the reasons why we bought that vehicle. We become numb to the experience of our vehicle. And you know what? It's no different with clients and financial advisors. If you continue to do things the same, at some point clients will become numb to the experience, and at some point they will question the price, the fee, which means they're questioning the value. So being good at value interpretation, I think, is the #1 skill of a financial advisor. If you can help people understand your value and what you offer, then you've really got something there. And it's very important with existing clients to keep that going. Of course, it's important with prospects, but I find oftentimes that really good advisors, too, it happens, advisors in general don't bring to life the value for clients at all times. Every interaction, we've got to be reminding them of the value. There's many ways to remind them of this, which we'll get into, but this whole concept of price and value is really, really important. So just keep that in mind as we go. You know, as we said, we all have a lot of self-limiting beliefs around pricing. I think most advisors' issues with pricing is between their own ears. It's all in our head. You know, when there's advisors charging, you know, 3 figures for a financial planning fee, when another advisor is charging 5 figures for the exact same thing, you know, it really comes down to value interpretation, and it comes down to one advisor is able to interpret that value. People relate to that value. They see it. They're willing to pay that price. Whereas, you know, someone charging 3 figures for financial planning, you know, they're really just undercharging for their services. There's no one at Ameriprise that really should be charging less than, you know, 4 figures for their services. You know, a 3-figure fee really doesn't even cover the cost or time to do the analysis to give someone that kind of advice. So just be aware of these self-limiting beliefs when it comes to pricing. And we'll get into some examples here, some real-life examples. But let's frame this a little bit. And I see that that a lot of times the advisors that have some, you know, self-limiting beliefs when it comes to pricing, they're doing a lot of the same things for all their clients. And I think one of the most important things, and probably the biggest opportunity for every advisor in America, is to do more with your existing clients, but especially at the top of your book, do more with your best clients. And I'll give you an example from another industry of how powerful this can be. So my coach had me study the Marriott exercise, gosh, probably about 10 years ago. And the reason was that the Marriott Corporation, they have lots of different brands, all designed for different travelers. So the Marriott exercise was to study some of these different brands and why they have these different offerings for different types of travelers. So as you can see here, a bunch of different levels. We took one of the more value chains, the Fairfield Inn, we looked at. We took their staple kind of, you know, median chain, the Marriott, and we also looked at their high-end chain, the Ritz-Carlton, which the Marriott Corporation owns. So we studied all 3. We actually traveled with our whole team. We stayed at all 3. Orlando, Florida was the first city we found that had all 3 right there, so we stayed at them all. And we learned quite a lot about each. You know, the Fairfield Inn is a great value. Fairfield Inns, there's lots of them around the country. They're in almost every town in America. It's a very reasonable price. Most of them are under $100. You know, when you get to Orlando, it's a little bit more. I think it was like $130, $140 a night. Hey, it's a clean room. We even got free breakfast. I mean, it's a really good value for what you get. So it's kind of a high volume model for Marriott. There's lots of them, but it doesn't take a lot to run the Fairfield Inn. You know, there isn't a huge profit margin. It's kind of a high volume brand, but because it's pretty simple to run. There isn't a lot going on there. There isn't a lot of amenities. It's very simple. You basically get a free room, you get a free breakfast, and that's kind of it. There's a couple of people working at the desk. There's 3 or 4 people cleaning rooms. You know, it's really pretty straightforward place. So a great value, kind of high volume model. When we looked at the Marriott, you know, you're talking about double the price typically of the Fairfield Inn. And Marriotts aren't everywhere. They're in your larger towns or larger cities. And, you know, the Marriott's got a lot more amenities. You know, the Marriott's got business meeting rooms. They've got room service. They have a restaurant, bar on site typically. And, you know, double the price for, you know, typically double the amenities. Now, there's a lot more people working at a Marriott. You know, they would all wear those little badges. There's a lot of them working there. And so this is kind of their staple brand. You're talking probably $200 a night. for a Marriott, maybe a little bit more in kind of a larger city. But when we compared that to the Ritz-Carlton, the high-end brand, so there's not many Ritz-Carltons. They're only in very exclusive cities, kind of big travel destinations. It's the only places you find a Ritz-Carlton. And Ritz-Carlton is known as one of the greatest client service organizations in the world. And you're going to pay quite a bit to stay at a Ritz-Carlton, $400 or $500 a night. If you're staying at the one in Manhattan by Central Park, you're talking $1,200, $1,500 a night. And the Ritz-Carlton amenities are everything you could ever think of at a resort, and then some. They've got everything that you could think of, and then some. So the price there kind of doubles at each level typically. You're getting a lot more at each level. There's a lot at the bottom in the value standpoint, and there's very few at the top in the high-quality, exclusive standpoint. So when we took this learning and we applied it to the financial industry, I immediately said, oh my gosh, in my practice, everyone's getting the Marriott. Everyone's kind of getting the same thing. The Fairfield Inns, they're paying the Fairfield Inn price, but they're getting the Marriott. A lot of people are getting the Marriott. And gosh, these Ritz-Carlton people are paying the Ritz-Carlton price, but they're only getting the Marriott. So looking at shifting what you do and shifting your services in this kind of fashion, I think is the number one opportunity for advisors. And a great tool to help you do this is the old menu of services. In the menu of services, you could shift your services, shift your time and energy to do more for your very best clients and try and do less for your smaller clients. So this particular menu of services was featured at last year's national conference out in Las Vegas. An advisor we work with, she was up on stage, and they kind of went through her menu of services. So I'll kind of take you through this and how this kind of does relate to the Fairfield Inn, the Marriott, and the Ritz-Carlton models, and how you can apply the same thing in your practice. But one of the things I like most about this menu of services is it has a wealth management only category. And so this advisor happens to be in Houston, Texas, where there's a tremendous amount of competition. Houston has a lot of oil companies, a lot of the oil employees make pretty good money, and they have significant 401k balances. And so doing business there is like swimming with the sharks. And there's a lot of competition, and there's a lot of competition on price. This advisor charges 1%, we'll charge 0.95. They charge 0.95, we'll charge 0.9. They charge 0.9, we'll charge 0.85. There's a lot of that going on there. And so this particular advisor wanted to get out of that and wanted to be able to charge what they were worth. And so in the wealth management only, what this advisor is able to do is to kind of categorize that, hey, this is everyone else in our industry. And all the other people you talk to, they really just do wealth management only. So it was a way that she could differentiate herself from everyone else. So she has that service available. If they just want their assets managed, they can do that. And look, I mean, managing assets is the most profitable and the highest revenue part of our business. But the real differentiator is financial planning. It is these different levels of advice that are going on. And that's really what separates us from the pack. And it's really crucial as financial advisors, especially Ameriprise financial advisors, that we take full advantage of this. So just the simple concept of everyone else is the wealth management only. Not many are doing full-blown formal financial planning. And so once we have that differentiation, that we're different and we're doing more, and when you cut through it, at the end of the day, people want financial planning advice. That's what they really want from us. They don't care as much about which small cap value fund or ETF you picked last year. They want to know, can I get to retirement? Can I stay retired? How can I save on taxes? How can I deal with health care costs? All the other things that come up in their life, that's what they want advice on, and that's financial planning. So this menu can help you differentiate, but it can also help you deal with different kinds of people. Just like the Marriott Corporation is designed to work with many different types of travelers. So it's these 3 different levels of planning, and this example happens to be gold, platinum, and diamond elite. The gold is very much like a Fairfield Inn. It's kind of your high volume, low complexity, just like the Fairfield Inn, low complexity operation. So this should be a lot of your lower dollar amount plans, a lot of your, I'd say lower dollar amount asset.
Hey, Rebecca, how's it going?
Maybe your clients under 250. Maybe your clients under $500,000, 250, maybe 100,000. Really depends on your practice and your segmentation. But the people that you have in your practice are really probably going to determine what your levels are. But the goal should be short, simple, sweet. And I'm just going to go ahead and mute the lines here. Here, real quick. There we go. And so as we move up to kind of the staple platinum, that's probably your typical client for a lot of practices. It may be your 250 to 750, and maybe $500,000 to $1 million. Kind of your staple kind of mid-tier client, just like the Marriott is for the Marriott Corporation. So here's where you're really getting into a full comprehensive level of advice. You can see at the bottom there's a lot more interactions throughout the year. Probably some face-to-face meetings, probably some meetings over the phone with people, and covering quite a bit of topics. And then just like the Ritz-Carlton, you probably have a smaller number of clients that's maybe over $1 million, on a larger practice, maybe the multi-million plus. This is really where I see this kind of diamond elite level. You want to tailor your services for your best clients. I see a lot of practices, their services are kind of tailored for the middle of the road client, and they tend to attract new clients in the middle of their book. If your services are designed for your very best clients, you'll attract more clients at the top of your book. So if your services are really designed for this diamond elite, your million plus or your multi-million plus client, that's really should be your starting point, and you should just pare down at your other levels. So this is your best value that you can bring, your most advanced topics. Any way you can help these people save on taxes, you'll get straight to their heart. So this is all your goods, and this is where you want to be investing most of your time. This is where you want to have a lot of interactions with these people. And a lot of interactions doesn't have to be a lot of hour-and-a-half, grueling meetings. We're finding more and more advisors are connecting with clients more often in shorter contacts, like a quick a phone call with people. There's a great book floating out there called Supernova Advisor. In our coaching group a few years ago, some advisors kind of passed around and learned from it. And it's written by a massive advisor who's had a really, really big practice, was really good at attracting a lot of clients coming in, but wasn't really good at servicing them, so a lot of clients are leaving out the back door. And so the whole concept of the book is that the advisor decided to reinvent and only work with 100 of his very top clients. And when he talked to them about what they really wanted from him, they said, we really just want to have some kind of monthly contact from you. They don't want to have a long sit-down meeting. They want to have some kind of contact. And it may just be something quick and easy like, hey, my statement's down. Should I be worried? They just want to have a quick touch base, and at least some kind of monthly contact was what they wanted. They said they really wanted some financial planning topics. They said some of those we should be a little bit longer. We want to talk about financial planning, and then maybe twice a year we'll get together in person. So this advisor developed the 12-4-2 service approach, where 12 was monthly contact, 4 was quarterly conversations about financial planning topics, and then 2 of those 4 happened to be in person. So in Ameriprise, we already know that the value of financial planning, but I think the learning there is that traditionally, we tend to have a certain amount of meetings with clients. We're so rooted in only seeing people in our office face-to-face but there's a lot of power in touching base with people quickly over the phone. And I did it in my practice many years ago. I've seen the advisors that have done it. You can really be in much closer contact with people and service people in a lot less time if you can take this kind of approach. And think about your busy and successful people. It's probably hard for a lot of your very best clients to take time out of their, their work day, especially if they're an executive. If they're, busy like a doctor and just have a demanding schedule, it's hard for them to make time for an hour meeting, but, it's not so hard for them to make 5 or 10 minutes to catch you over the phone. So consider that, but that could sort of diamond a lead if you really build your services tailored to that top client that you have, whatever their makeup may be. If you can design your services for them, pare down at the other levels, you've really got something here. And you really need to figure out how to shift your time and energy to be more in alignment with your percentage of GDC. So I've got this example in an editable version. I've also got some other menu of services examples. If you want a copy of this, just email me on number 1. So I'm on the Ameriprise system, Jonathan P. Randall, R-A-N-D-A-L-L. You can find me on Outlook, and just shoot me an email. Just put number 1 in the subject line, and I'll send you back some of these menu of services examples I have. I got a lot of them from a lot of great practices. A lot of them are different. But I think that format is a little bit more in depth than the, kind of the generic Ameriprise menu that they have. So just email me quick number 1, and I'll send you out those examples. So again, if you think about the percentage of GDC and where it comes from, it's astounding how much comes from your top clients. In a lot of practices, less than 10% of GDC comes from the bottom half of your clients. So, it's oftentimes that just 3 clients at the top of your book could replace half of the clients at the bottom of your book. That's that'd be a lot better practice to work in, or a lot better practice to have to only kind of work with your top tier, your more exciting clients. So just pay attention to that. Your investment of time and energy in your practice should be more in alignment with the percentage of revenue that your clients are bringing in. So if your top clients are bringing in this much revenue, you should be investing this much time and energy with them. If less than 10% of your time and energy is coming from the bottom half of your clients, then it should only be taking less than, or if less than 10% of your revenue is coming there, less than 10% of your time should be invested there. So that shift alone, I've seen advisors make massive shifts in their practice just by doing more for their better clients. And again, if you're doing more for these people, you're going to find more business, and you're going to attract more people at the top of your book instead of the middle of your book. So here's some different strategies that I see really working for advisors where they are really boosting their GDC. So let's talk a little bit more about what it means to do more for your best clients. Every possible service and product that you have to offer should be available for your best clients. Learning from the Ritz-Carlton, and we've at Dynamic Directions, we've hired the Ritz-Carlton 3 times now to teach their service excellence program. They basically teach how they're the top customer service organization in the world, and it's very applicable to the financial industry. I think any business working with people can learn from the Ritz-Carlton, but this whole concept of doing more for your best clients, at the Ritz-Carlton, the Marriott Hyatt level offering, everything that's possible is available and then some. And now a lot of the extras you pay for. And in your room, there's a mini bar. And if you want to have something from there in your room, you can have it without going anywhere, without calling room service. You can get special room service. You can get all these extra amenities. You can go to the store and buy things. You can do all these extras. And at Ritz-Carlton, they've done a lot of research that the people that pay a premium to stay there, they engage with all these other services. They typically just don't show up and stay there and hide in the room and get up and leave. They're taking advantage of everything that the place has to offer, multiple restaurants, going to the pool, going to the spa, all the services they have available. Typically, the people stay in there use them. So make sure your best clients know about all of your services because they might engage in more of them. I see a lot of advisors, they kind of hide what they do with their top clients, and they're scared to share what they do. You know, I see some are scared to talk about insurance. That, gosh, I don't want to be perceived as an insurance salesman. I'm an asset manager. And you know what? There would be 5 or 6 figures of business sitting around with your top clients that you're missing, and they may want it. And when it comes to just your portfolio offering, which is most of the business we do with people, make sure people have the best. Make sure they have and then some. Make sure they have all the extras. You know, I've never rolled over an account with over $1 million that did not have individual securities. So how can you do more for these best people? You know, whether it's using some of the IRG stock portfolios they give us for free, find ways to get these in there. You know, if you have to rely on a separately managed account to bring some of this to clients, that's okay, but give them your best. And it doesn't have to be everyone. It could be 1 or 2 clients. Maybe it's your top 5. Maybe your top 10 get some of this stuff. But give them the extras. Give them the and then some. Make sure they know about every product, every service that you have available, and make sure that they have the ability to get it if they want it. And any way you can deliver more value, more services, more for these people, you'll generate more business, and you'll also build a moat around these clients where the other advisors, the other predators can't get in. They can't cross the water of the moat. You build a moat wide and deep, the more that you do for them and the more you do with them. So your very best products and services should be absolutely available for your top tier. Everything that you got and then some. If you're not providing some of these extras, it's not that hard to do. And if you're doing it with a very small number of people, it's not that hard to pull off. So, you know, the experience that these top people have is really everything. And, you know, you want to make it as easy as possible for these people to do business with you. So, again, if you have a busy executive, maybe a busy medical professional, a doctor, make it easy for them. They may not be able to come to your office for hour and a half meetings and maybe reinvent the way that you do business with them. Enhance what it's like to do business with you. And I think a lot of the client experience has to do with the feeling that somebody has doing business with you. So ask yourself, how do people feel as a result of doing business with you? So just think about your top people for a second, and how do they feel about doing business with you? You know, we want to make these people say, wow, more often. And the Ritz-Carlton is experts at this. And, excuse me, making people feel that wow. Any way we can make them feel special, a lot of times it's kind of the unexpected to make them feel special. It's out of the ordinary that's expected. Those are the wow moments. So if you think about it, people expect decent returns. People expect a call back when they call you. People expect a return email when they email you. Those things are expected. It's the unexpected things that make people say wow. So it may be a surprise gift. It may be going way above and beyond. It may be that extra contact. Those are the things that can make people say wow. Now, if you're going to make people say wow in your practice, you know, one of the first things you may have to do is eliminate your unwows. Yeah, everyone has them. Unwows could be just the experience of calling your office. Do they get a great receptionist to help them, or do they get a phone tree? What's the experience like in your office? Is it too hot, too cold? Is it smell like the lunch that somebody had? Is there papers around everywhere? You know, eliminate those unwows, and those extras, the unexpected things are really the ones to focus on. And again, it's not every client you have to do this with. Just select some of your top clients to start thinking about these things. Think about what could be the and then some for these top people. What would be the extras that would make someone feel special as a result of doing some extras for them? That is really a key to building a moat around those people. That will help them engage with you further. And as we're talking about value and price, their perception of value will be much higher, and you'll be able to charge for your services much more appropriately, I think, at those different levels. And just, looking at those different levels that the Marriott has, you could really look at it the same way in your practice. From your gold, your platinum to your diamond elite, whatever you want to call your levels, you should be doubling your fees at each level. And the advisors that charge, over $5,000, over $10,000 for financial planning, which I like to call ongoing advice services, the ones that charge a lot for ongoing advice, they're really just very good at positioning the value. And people are willing to pay for that value ongoing because they recognize it, they see it, and they're willing to engage in it. And really, all these things here on the screen are all part of the reasons that advisors that I work with that have an average fee of over $5,000, they're doing these things. Now, they didn't start there. I have an advisor, when I started working with them, 7 years ago, his average fee, I think it was, it wasn't even $400. It was like $370 was his average fee. And now his average fee is well over $5,000 average and well over 100 plans. So it's possible to do. But if you remember, it requires thinking differently and doing some things differently if you're really going to grow. In a lot of practices, it's possible to double what you do with just your existing clients. Remember, there's two parts of growth. It's doing more with existing clients and getting new clients. But really the things that got you here are not going to be the things that get you there. Our industry is changing. Clients want more. We need to be better at interpreting value. Competition is fierce. Price compression is there. If you differentiate yourself like the Ritz-Carlton has, you can charge a premium because you're different. You're not a robo-advisor. A robo-advisor is like a bad motel in the if we're talking about the hotel industry. I'm not talking about a bad hotel. I'm talking about a bad motel where you drive up to the door and there's cockroaches inside. That's a robo-advisor. People don't get anything. There's no advice. And they could select a portfolio, but there's nothing from stopping them when the market goes down to sell everything. And the value you provide is significant. And to differentiate yourself from the other sharks and provide formal, ongoing advice with the great tools we have, you can really separate yourself. So don't let price compression, don't let these robo-advisors get in your head or get in your way, because you are, at least a Marriott, many of you are a Ritz-Carlton. And if you want to be a premium provider, which, look, Ameriprise is a premium provider in general. It's not cheap to do business here. It's not cheap to conduct a business as an advisor. It's not cheap for a client to do business here. But we are a premium provider in our industry. We do more than other advisors. All of you here do more than the average advisor, and you should be charging above average for your services. And as long as you can help people interpret your value, they will be very willing to pay for it. And I'm telling you, it's all in our heads. I've seen advisors make the shifts of charging 0.75% to 1.75%. I've seen advisors charge $375 a plan to $10,000 a plan with the exact same client. And they do it year after year after year. And it comes down to having some shifts in the way you think. The things that got you here won't get you there. And it's doing some things differently. It's structuring your services differently, building them for your best clients, enhancing the experience, and doing more with them. So there's really so much in here that we could cover. I could spend days and days and days talking about this stuff. All of you are different. You all have different opportunities. I'd be happy to do a free coaching session with you to talk about your opportunities and maybe what your challenges are to implement some of this. Like I said, we worked with over 100 practices, some of the top in Ameriprise, some of the top in the country. and we're happy to share whatever best practices work for them, and maybe there's some things you can copy. So we'd happy to give you that free coaching session, share some of those best practices. If you want it, just email my email, Jonathan P. Randall. Just put consultation in the subject line, and we'll email you back. Jenny from our team will set up a quick call with us in the next couple of weeks here. But I'm really excited about the future of our industry. We've got some, I think, some great things coming, and I'm really excited to see where things go for us at Ameriprise. You know, we're certainly poised to win in all the shift in legislation and all these new rules we have. But just remember, keep the main things the main things. You know, there's a lot of compliance and weird stuff being thrown at us right now. Don't let the administrative minutia get away from the main things, which is doing more with the existing clients and getting new clients. So if you have any questions, feel free to email me. I look forward to chatting with you, but just shoot me a number one if you want some menu of services examples. Shoot me an email, just say consultation. I'll give you a free coaching session. But thanks for your time today. This will be recorded if you want to go back and listen to the replay. But just remember that, you know, the losers always focus on the obstacles and why they can't do something. The winners focus on results. So focus on results. Be aware of your self-limiting beliefs. Do more from your best clients and win big. So in just a few weeks, in early December, we've got another one to talk about, the other half of growing, which is attracting new clients and attracting better clients. So we'll dig into that. We'll reference some of the book I published, and I'll show you what other advisors are doing that are among the top at Ameriprise, and just organic client acquisition, whether it's referrals, other sources. We'll talk about what's working, what you can do, and what you can copy in your practice. So everyone take care. Thanks so much, and we hope to see you soon and hope to talk with you real soon. You take care.